Hey folks, and welcome back to another West Yorkshire Retro Gamer recorded video. And as you can see, the Retro League, it's back for another season. Season 7. Wow, that's a lot of seasons. In front of you, you can see the 16 gaming pages that will be competing in season 7. And so I thought to myself, I'll do a little preview for you all. I don't know a lot, so if any of the information here is a little inaccurate, I do apologise. And I welcome any of the 16 pages to comment on this and correct me if I'm wrong. So, let's do a little rundown. We'll go in alphabetical order, same way that the logos are there. Starting off with Dave at One Forsaken Gaming. Made his debut last season. Did really well. Absolutely blitzed the regular season before the playoffs. He lost 1 week to Aaron Ryan, and I don't think he lost to anyone else in the regular season. Could be wrong. That's the only loss that I remember for Dave. So he had a fantastic first season. An obvious force to be reckoned with. And so obviously he qualified as ranked 1 for or seeded 1 for the playoffs. Got about halfway through, I think. So he will definitely be an absolute force to be reckoned with this season. There's no doubt about that. Aaron Ryan Gaming, good friend of mine. Me and Aaron have had some very close battles in the past, both in the Retro Gaming League and also in our own little 1v1 competition that we've had going sporadically. There's not a lot to split me and Aaron, but I do feel that Aaron, is the stronger player of the two from an all-round point of view. Aaron obviously represents Ireland, one of not very many players to not be from USA, but there is a few. Aaron has reached the playoffs on a couple of occasions now. Debuted, I believe, in season 4, I think. I'm sure Aaron will correct me if I'm wrong about that one. And I'm sure that Aaron will be wanting to go a little bit better this time. So all the best to the Irish bro. Moving on to Achievement Unlocked, who, if memory serves me right, missed last season but debuted the season before. Now the Achievement Unlocked gaming group has consisted of Steve Thomas, who is Roach Type Person Gaming, Adam Hilberty, Serverlife Gaming, and Matt Hunter from Hunter's Hybrid Gaming. Now I don't know what structure the lads have decided to go about this season, whether it's just Steve or if Adam and Matt are getting involved or whatever the case. But either way, whichever of the guys represent Achievement Unlocked this season, very strong page, and again, a definite force to be reckoned with. In their 1 season that they've competed, they reached the playoffs. So, yeah, not to be messed with. Moving on to Chris at Captain Tendo Gaming. Another strong player. it's looking like it's going to be one of the strongest lineups of all time in the Retro League. It really is. There's an abundance of talent involved. Not good signs for me. Chris has had a couple of seasons in the Retro League now. Done very well every time. I've competed against Chris not just in the Retro Gaming League but in other competitions as well, and again, doesn't have many weaknesses. When he's on it, he's really on it. And a very, very tough opponent. So I'm sure he'll do well again this season. Moving down onto the second row, starting from the left, it's Mr. Commissioner himself, the Commish, Mr. Brian Rish, the Commish. I'm sure he planned all of this well in advance. Brian the Commish Rish. Classic and current gaming. What can we say about Brian? Mr. Consistency is probably the one of the many names that could be given to Brian here. It's his own competition. He's been there from day one. He is the founder of the competition, and just seems to reach at the very least the semi-final every single year. I don't know if there's a season where he's finished any lower than the semi-final of the playoff. I'm sure Brian will correct me if I'm wrong there, but yeah, I mean, the player speaks for himself when they get results like that. However, the one thing that's eluding Brian at this moment in time is a season win. He's never won it. Could this be the season that CNC finally gets his mitts on his own trophy? You can never bet against Brian. You can never bet against him. Tough opponent. I came very, very close to beating him on Dig Dug of all games. I needed to kill one more enemy to beat him. 2 maximum, and I messed up. That's the closest I've come to beating him in a 1v1 match. Gutted. Anyways, again, he'll be one of the favourites for this season, there's no doubt about it. Moving on to DJ Cliche Darkness, the current reigning, defending, undisputed Retro Gaming League champion. Yeah, there's a few players in this group this season who have won this thing, and he is the latest streamer to do it. Bit of a dark horse in his debut season. He performed solidly without kind of standing out. You know, he maybe had 1 or 2 best runs of the week, perhaps. I can't remember exactly now, but absolutely came of age in the playoffs. He just, he was one. I think he's one of the lowest ranked or lowest seeded players to win the Retro League, if memory serves me right. So, yeah, not one to underestimate. Anyone that can get their hands on this title is not a player to be messed with. So, can he make it 2 out of 2? Tall order. Could be done though. Plays to his best of his abilities, and you just never know. Just depends how the games fall. Now on to possibly one of the most decorated retro gaming players of all time in the Retro League, Willie Will, Mr. Green Slate Gaming, the only current double champion. This guy knows how to win. He knows how to not just win it once, but more than once. He doesn't have that many weaknesses in his game. Like hardly any. You can put almost any game in front of Will Greenslade and he will absolutely smash the damn thing. So many finals, so many final wins. And yet the irony of this is I have actually had a victory against him. By a margin no thicker than the width of one of my freaking goatee hairs. I'm telling you, it was that bloody close. On any other given day, the win goes to Will. So I'm not under any illusions that just because I have had one 1v1 victory against him that I'm a better player than him. Am I? Hell, not a chance. Never gonna happen. I would say that even before the season starts, Will goes in as favourite. Not going to gloss over this. It's just a fact of life that we all have to put up with. He's that damn good. So I'm sure that Will have another superb season. He doesn't have bad seasons. I haven't seen one yet. So yeah, there we go. You know, he is a retro league veteran now and knows how to work his way around it all and get those wins. Moving on to another retro gaming league veteran, one of the originals from season 1, Mr. G's Game Lab. Gil, after another small hiatus, comes back to feature in season 7. One advantage that Gil has over many of us is that he is the founder of the Bad Games Matter campaign. No matter how bad a game is, Gil just blocks it out and can come out with the victory. You know, if a game is bad for me, I don't get very far with it. So, you know, what can we say? You know, as I say, one of the originals. There's 3, I believe. There's 3 from the original season that are featuring this time. Brian being one, obviously. Gil being another, and I think the other might be Will Greenslade actually. No, it's Punchy. Sorry, my mistake. Or maybe all of them featured for season 1 then. I don't know. Anyway, point being, Gil will be coming back looking to try and make a mark on the season if he can. And yeah, if any bad games come up, you can guarantee that Gil will be somewhere near the top. It's whether he does well on the good games. Just kidding, Gil. Nah, you'll do fine, mate, I'm sure. Moving on to Dan at Outcast Gaming. Made his debut either last season or the season before. Like, so much time has passed, it's bonkers. Very solid player. Bit like myself, very determined. You know, plays to win. You know, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, no, Dan will be looking to go that little bit better. He'll be looking to get one over his best mate, James at Shanghai Classic, I'm sure. And you know, who'd bet against Dan at Outcast to have a really good season? I'm sure he'll do very well. Moving on to Canada's own Mr. Punchy Gaming. Warren is back for another season. As I mentioned, he is a season 1 veteran of the Retro Gaming League. I've just remembered as well, Retro Gaming for Life's another one. So we've got more season 1 returnees than I thought. There we go. Warren on his day can do very well. He hates facing me. He doesn't have a good record against me. Sorry, Warren. So I really hope that I get a good game. A good game for me when I come up against Warren anyway. He set up his own personalised arcade machine for last season, which was impressive. I'll give it that. A lot of us were really impressed with that. The only weakness really for Warren is he doesn't, and he admits this himself, is he doesn't practice. If Warren practiced, he could be a bit of a beast in this thing. But he just does not practice, and for something like this, you've got to practice if you're going to win. You know, the winners of this competition didn't just go into the official run blind and get victories. It doesn't work that way. These games are too awkward, too tricky, and too difficult in certain areas. But if Warren does get some practice in this season, I expect him to do well, because he does normally reach playoffs. Yeah, keep an eye out for Warren there. Moving on to, as I say, another Retro Gaming League veteran here in Rob at Retro Gaming for Life. Big Mario fan, he loves his Mario games as Rob. And Rob was the very first person to say hi on my very first stream. So, for that reason alone, I have no bad word to say about Rob. Loves his gaming, loves his streaming, and hasn't had the best of results in the Retro League, and he'll admit that himself. But again, he doesn't get a lot of time to practice due to his own personal reasons, and so he just competes for the fun. He competes for the fun of it. So fair play. I'm sure he'll be looking forward to getting his teeth into some of these games this season. Moving on to, as far as I'm aware, the youngest member competing this year. That is Noah at Rogue Medic Dragoon Army. Noah made his debut in the competition a couple of seasons ago. Doesn't let his youthful age go against him. You put retro games in front of him, he can play them. He will learn them, he will give them his best shot, and he will give it a damn good go. And considering that Noah wasn't born when most of these games came out, bloody good effort, mate. Bloody good effort. Yeah, let's see how Noah does going into this season. Moving on to Ken at Sandblasted Gaming. Ken coming back for another season here. I think for Ken, it's a case of that a lot of the games that have come up haven't really suited his strengths. He is very much an RPG player. There hasn't been a ton of RPGs aside from Zelda that have featured in the Retro League. But he's back for another go, and I'm sure he'll give it his all, and we'll see how he does. Moving on to the best bud of Mr. Outcast Gaming, it's the Shy Guy Classic. Burst onto the scene in terms of Retro Gaming League seasons are concerned, and absolutely smashed it for the majority. He doesn't have many weaknesses in games, doesn't James? What a player. I would, if I was a betting person, then I would have him as having a very, very good chance of getting some silverware this season. You can't bet against the guy. I can't remember a bad run that he had in his debut season. Yeah, hardly has any weaknesses. So yeah, expect a tough showing from Shy Guy Classic, folks. If I even beat him in 1 week this season, I can only think of one game where I will actually, have a chance against the likes of James. Yeah, superb game player. Very good at the very difficult games. In the last season of the Retropolis tournament, he absolutely smashed these horribly hard games. You know, in season 1 of Retropolis, I did very well. In season 2, I was garbage. The game level just went whoop. I couldn't cope. I couldn't compete. I mean, I was going through a lot of stuff outside of streaming, but James just seems to know how to master these harder games, and yeah, he will be in the top bunch this season. I have no doubt about that. Moving on to the Wookiee Dome, Russell. I have not come across that many players more determined than Russell to make a mark in these competitions. And for me, probably has one of my favourite rage moments ever. When Russell rages on a game, I'm sorry, mate. You're hilarious. You really are, and I love it. Just don't change. Don't change how you rage, man. You're very popular in that regard, mate. We all love it when Russell rages, and we don't mean that in a bad way, man. It's really entertaining. Yeah, we love it. You know, very determined player, never gives up. The number of times that he's had tech issues on his runs, and yet, you know, he gets it sorted, he still comes back, he still completes the run. Fair play, man. Absolute fair play. Because I'd have lost my shit many moons ago. with all stuff that Russell's gone through on his runs before now. But yeah, he's a great watch, is Russell. Really good, really fun to watch. And then we get to the point where I have to self-critique. West Yorkshire Retro Gamer, yours truly. What can I say about me? Difficult one. In every season of the Retro League, I've always seen myself as a middle level player. There are some games that I'm good at. There are others that I am trash at. And having looked at the rundown of the games for this new season, I would say that about half of the games could suit me. The other half, I'm going to have to work my backside off to get any respectable run on it. If I get lucky, hopefully I'll do well. But as I've mentioned in this stream right now, this could be on paper the strongest lineup ever in the Retro Gaming League. It really could. That's no disrespect to some of the players that aren't taking part this season. You know, there are other players who would, you know, they'd be right up there. You've got Mitch at The Cartridge King, you've got Jake at Jake Rock, you've got Jeff at Space Coast Gaming. You know, that's just naming 3 off the top of my head. You know, they would all be up there. You know, come the end of the season, there's absolutely no doubt about that. So, I mean, in the last couple of seasons, I have improved my final position. Certainly, you know, in terms of the playoffs, I got into the first round of the playoffs 2 seasons ago. I got into the quarterfinals last season. So, you know, if I'm going to continue progression, then realistically I need to be looking at a minimum of the semi-finals. How? I do not rate my chances. However, you know that I'm going to give it everything that I possibly can. Hopefully I can pull a few upsets. With the games coming out for this season, I bet myself to do well on Tekken Advance, which I mean, it's a bit of a gimme really, because it's a 1v1 fighter that I owned as a kid, so everyone's going to know that I'm going to be at least reasonably half decent on it. In terms of the other games, there's a few of those games that I owned as a kid, which I'd like to think that if I get practice in them, I'll be able to do a good showing. And then with the ones that I've not played before, it's just a case of me getting some practice in on those before the season starts, and then we see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be pushing myself as best as I possibly can, but, you know, anyone can beat anyone on the day on this list. But, you know, if I'm going to be realistic about it, you know, the likes of One Forsaken, Achievement Unlocked, Captain Tender, Classic and Current, Green Slade, you know, Shy Guy Classic, you know, these boys have done it before. They've gone a very long way in this competition. You've got the reigning champion DJ Cliche as well. You know, Outcasts, Aaron Ryan. I could list everybody. I mean, you know, what can you say? You know, I'm up against it. Yeah, I'm absolutely up against it. You know, so I think a lot of this is going to come down to familiarity of games. It's going to come down to how much practice you put into it. You need a little bit of luck along the way, of course you do. For the weeks where we are doing some kind of individual fixture as opposed to everyone being against everyone, again, that's going to depend on who you're up against, and also the game that falls for that week. You know, that's where the luck comes into it. For the weeks where we're not all against everybody, that is where you need that little bit of luck. And the way that it's going to work apparently is that the top four will go against each other, then the next four, then the next four, and then the bottom four. So you're going to be against people that are going to be in and around you. But depending on how everyone's done in the season, you know, that could put me up against, say for example, you know, Green Slade, Classic and Current, and One Forsaken. I'd be like, thanks. Maybe not. Maybe I want to be in a bad position for, you know, for the weeks where I'm up against the others. And then it's just kind of propelled myself back up again. No, I mean, you know, let's be honest, that'd be a daft way of going about it. And at the end of the day, who knows who's going to win? DJ proved it last season. Debut season, came out of nowhere, kicked butt. Yeah. Anyone can win if they just got a little bit of luck and they put the time in and they get the games that suit them most. But, as I say again, we know which ones of these pages have some very natural ability and know how to strategically get the wins. It's not just about playing the game, it's about researching it, it's about watching speedruns, it's about figuring out the best way to win. Winning, you know, could be completing a game, it could be doing a game quickly, it could be getting the highest points tally, who knows. That's for the Retro League to decide. So, damn fly coming in there, it's fucking gigantic, what I know. Those horrible blue bottles. It's because the weather's warm and I've got the windows open. That's how it goes. So, anyway, we'll conclude this one. I wish every player involved this season the very best of luck, apart from when you're against me. I think, as I say, this could be one of the most competitive seasons of all time. There's no doubt about that. Retro Gaming League, apologies, the logo I've got for yourselves is the old one that has the FB on it. What I would say is, if you're not already, do please follow every one of these 16 gaming pages, whether they be on Facebook, Kick, YouTube, Twitch. Sorry. Twitch hates me. That's all I'll say. So do please go and support every single one of these pages. They're a lot of fun to watch. And as soon as the competitive juices start flowing, like us all going against each other, you can guarantee there's going to be some spectacular runs this season. It's not a bad list of games either. There is some good games this season. One or two that I'm not too sure how they'll be judged. It'll be interesting to see what the judges have come up with in terms of a point system or scoring system for a couple of these games. But again, we'll find out. There's the Retro Gaming League show coming up on Sunday, which is going to give us a bit more information about how things are going to go. Tune into that if you're interested. And yeah, expect some very, very strong gaming runs this season. Because, as I said, there's some top quality pages here, and I am up against it. But never bet against your very own WYRG. I am going to do my very, very best to kick butt. And I am not going to give anyone an easy fixture this season. That is as much as I can tell you from my point of view. No one's going to get an easy fixture against me. But at the same time, I'm extremely beatable. I've proved it every season. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Looking forward to it. Couple of new consoles on the rise for this season as well. There's N64, PlayStation 1, couple of handhelds in there, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, NES, SNES, Master System, Mega Drive / Genesis. All of these are featuring this season, so there's hopefully going to be an entertaining mix that's going to please a lot of people who watch. Yeah, keep an eye out for the runs. It's going to be the same rules as before, I believe. It's going to be a case of getting those runs in before the end of each week so that they can be successfully judged. And yeah, so do please keep an eye out for all of my runs that I'm going to be doing. I will probably stick to what I've done previously, where I do one practice run at the very start of the week, and then the rest of my practice will be kept privately so that I don't give too many tactics away to my opponents, with the official run being at the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, depending on how things go. So yeah, please keep an eye out for that. All the support is massively appreciated, as always. And let's have some fun with this thing. It's not all about the competing. Alright, it is for me. No, I'm kidding. And obviously it's always more enjoyable when you get the wins, isn't it? But let's see how everyone does. Enjoy it. Let's have a laugh. Let's have some fun together with all this, and may the best gaming streamer win. Who's going to be Season 7 champion? We're going to find out in the coming weeks. So with that in mind, folks, have a fantastic rest of your week. I will be doing some playthroughs of some of the games that are going to feature this season between now and the start of the season. I'll be playing some of the games for the very first time, the ones that I've never played before, just have a little go at them. I don't like to go into a week completely blind on a game. It just doesn't, it's rubbish preparation, so I don't bother. So I'm going to have a go at those. I will be streaming tonight, so do please keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, as I say, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you later tonight. Bye bye.